Hello everyone, welcome back to Weaving Web3, and I am really excited because I'm here with James Zaki from Aztec Labs Developer Relations. I've been following them for a very long time, and they're all about privacy. And could you give us a bit more of an intro about Aztec and yourself?
Yeah, so my name's James. I've been working for a long time in different industries, but then, the last few months I've decided to join Aztec as a developer relations engineer. I see Aztec as sort of the next big thing that people will be building Web3 applications on. It's a privacy-preserving layer 2, in a nutshell.
No, that's awesome. So the way I discovered you guys was when you had your, what was the sunsetted protocol that you had?
Zaki money.
Zaki money. So I wanted to invest some money privately and completely anonymously, and then I researched your tech, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then obviously you had to sunset that. And then I withdrew that money to another wallet, and it's completely anonymous. Like, obviously, I'm not doing anything nefarious with it, but for me, as an individual, or let's say an influencer, or someone that could be, or an institution that wants to trade privately and not being copy traded and stuff like that, your chain would be the go-to place for that, or something like that.
It's basically any business, like anything you want to do, you need privacy. Like, I sort of look at it as, the analogy I said before, that when people went from Web 2 to Web 3, we got decentralization, but we just completely dropped privacy. It was very hard to do both at the same time. Now I see something like Aztec as bringing privacy back. So now we can have business applications continue to build with decentralization because of privacy.
No, absolutely. And I think, like we all say often, privacy is a fundamental human right. And there are situations across the world where people can't have access to certain educational content, or if you want to donate money to, let's say, Ukraine or other conflicts that are going on, and you don't want people to track your wallet because it may be political or something like that, you have that opportunity. And we recently saw with the banning of mixers with Tornado Cash, and to what point is that take away our freedoms and necessities? Like my talent, Buterin uses Tornado Cash, and now they're arresting people because they don't want us to have our own private assets, which is scary.
And it can be absolutely those big cases to say that we can't put our money to certain causes because for fear of judgment or fear of incrimination, like getting arrested or something like that. But which makes sense for certain things, for bigger things that are like that. But when it comes to even smaller things, people may just want to donate to a small cause that they are interested in, but not reveal that to their mother or their family.
Yeah.
Or, just little things as well. Like we can do things with cash. Why don't we have that for digital?
So you're saying Aztec is the cash of the modern day century Web3?
As a minimum. As a minimum. I think from there, we're going to see the applications that we see on Ethereum, but amplified. We're going to see more applications because we have the capability of privacy. I always try to look at things from a product point of view. And when we bring in Web3 technology, we don't have privacy there, but we have other capabilities. So there are other advantages to having something like decentralization, having interoperability between different actors, things that sit outside of a business, and having that as part of your product. Like that's a new paradigm I think we're yet to fully explore. And I think part of the reason why it's been hindered is because we haven't had privacy. But now that we are getting that back, you can use the Aztec Sandbox, which is the technology there. I can go into a bit of that later if you like. But with the Aztec Sandbox, you can run a node locally, you can deploy your applications and test it out. Because when we deploy the testnet, you could be one of the first ones putting your application out. And when we go to mainnet, you'll be in the best position to bring that technology to the world.
That's awesome. What could you do on Aztec that is not possible elsewhere right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain that from the fundamental protocol point of view, but it's to say that you can have private state, you can have private money, private balances. That's just the beginning. From there, you could have private voting, like in a decentralized way that's not corruptible. You can generate a proof to say that you voted a certain way without revealing your vote. And furthermore, you can actually choose who you reveal what to. So it's the things we understand with encryption quite well. We use Web2 products, and we trust the company that we're giving our information to, that it will reveal it in the correct way that we expect them to. The decentralization of that means we'll be able to have that privacy and verify that ourselves, and we'll be in control of that ourselves, which is amazing when it comes to data. So if we look at it from that point of view, we can have private data, and then we can reveal it to who we want and have monetization baked in.
So the possibility of endless, and wow, that's awesome. So, like, could you explain to me a bit more how your, let's say, verification proof method varies from, let's say, Optimism or other ZK runners?
Yeah, so I'll start with say that the way the privacy part works is something like a private state. Let's say it's just a balance. It's the UTXO model. So we'll create a note with a balance. So let's say I've got 10 of my tokens. First, I'll deploy my private contract. It's there. I have a note online that says it's encrypted, so I know it has my balance in it. Then after that, if I want to send you money, the protocol will create a note for you to say this is your balance, create a new note with my new balance, and then on a different tree, have the nullification of that first note. So nothing is revealed to say that these two notes are associated with the previous one. So everything is privacy preserving, and the encryption of those notes means no one else can see what that data is. So that's just sort of how it works under the hood. That's part of it, at least. In terms of the roll-up part of it, it's I'm actually yet to dig too deep into the layer 2 to layer 1 contracts, but I think in essence it's sort of similar. You're generating proofs of direct execution, which is also how the private execution environment works, which is another part of Aztec that I find quite interesting. Might get into that later. But yeah, basically you'll have this proof of valid execution that is rolled up. And obviously now with the latest upgrade to Ethereum, rolling up data has become a lot cheaper.
Oh, absolutely. But one thing I'm a bit worried about after everyone and more projects move on to using blobs, the prices are probably going to get back near to the same level. So how could we, I know there's going to be more upgrades coming. I think next year the next big Ethereum upgrade is happening, and that's going to help ease more transactions. But it seems like a lot of these measures are right now very temporary, and like we are relying, different chain has its own method.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few things there. So I do see this like traffic. Like, you can't solve traffic by building more roads. You'll increase the capacity temporarily, then it will get traffic jams again, which is a great problem to have for a blockchain to say it's so meaningful and there's so much demand to build on Ethereum that it needs to keep expanding in that way. Things like rollups will get us there. Having cheaper blob storage absolutely gets us there in terms of making more room for more applications. But I think as we see Web 2 applications or people who are currently building Web 2 products be able to have decentralization and privacy without having to, think about, doing anything special to conceal things on a public blockchain. I think that will also bring in more people being educated in how to use things maybe more effectively to say, well, what does need to be stored on chain? Like, we won't just blindly store everything. We can use proofs. We can say off chain, we have this data availability. Then we'll have some sense of, well, how long does that data need to be available and who should be paying for storage? So maybe it's the user will actually have ownership and care for their data on chain because they can monetize it. So if I'm responsible for my storage, or I have a service that runs locally or in a privacy preserving way, I think that's maybe we'll see data being stored in a more distributed way as well, where we don't need to put it to a chain, or obviously we're still a centralized service.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a big conversation I always try to bring up, especially with privacy preserving. Right now, pretty much most nodes are run on AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So how can you combat that? Because one day, let's say Google Cloud, one of these providers goes down, how we lose a massive portion of the nodes across every single chain.
Absolutely, yeah. And even like considering L2s at the moment are still kind of have a centralized sequencer. So the goal of Aztec is to be decentralized from day one. The moment they go live with testnet mainnet, it will be in a decentralized way. After that, it will, trying to go back to previous. Yeah, so if everything's running on AWS, that's sort of to say that the demands of running a node are quite high, that people can't just do it on their computer or their phone. As part of Aztec, like I'm not as close to it, but there is this awesome cryptography team. So they are there, researching maths, incorporating the latest maths into code, bringing that code into the protocol. So the idea is, I believe Aztec will be quite at the front there in terms of optimum use of cryptography. So it'll be able to be run on smaller devices. We won't need huge servers to do that.
That's amazing, because I feel like if I have, let's say, an Aztec node on my phone, that will completely solve everything, right? For most people, you don't have that reliance, but you have that verifiability.
Yeah. And there'll be interesting ways that we'll get used to using it. So we'll be doing things like, I think application developers will be adjusting the way they write applications to say, in the same way that when the internet was slow on our phones, we did laser loading. And we just put a little thing there, it's faded in, and then when we got the image, we got it back. Maybe it'll be lazy proving for all we know. So if we want to generate a proof, we just accept it. We say, hey, proof is being generated. put our phone. We don't expect it to happen straight away. We manage expectations of the user, and then at the end of that, then they get the notification, hey, your proof is ready. Would you like me to send it? Things like that. Little UX fixes can get us there.
Yeah, and I don't think everything needs to be done straight away. It's a whole building process. You don't build a Lamborghini wasn't built in one day, for example. So I definitely think from my point of view, I'm excited about the signal because there isn't actually really a technology that's doing what you're doing. There are other privacy sectors, but the reason I fell in love and be this is the technology I really think is going to be pushed through is because everything that you really said, and as well as I don't think I have been as private as I should have been. I know I have so many links to public figures, and I'm hey, so one day someone could just track me everything, what I've done, what I've bought, and I could have accessed the wrong mempool, and then I get blacklisted on something, and it's just it's something I'm scared of. I guess
it's discretionary law enforcement is a problem prior to crypto. It's when we do anything, and there's technically could be illegal. I think in some American laws or counties, there's eating lobster on a Thursday or whatever the law is technically illegal. So if someone has a photo of you eating a lobster on a Thursday, historically, can law enforcement use that? Obviously, it's not a great allocation of resources.
Yeah.
But if they wish to target you, they can dig it up. And the fact that it's all digital, they say, oh, your wallet that you haven't touched in 10 years happened to touch that wallet that touched that wallet. Now you're associated with crime, and now we've tracked you down. And, it just gets basically police state and gets a bit
scary, really scary. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you put Aztec as to someone that is interested in privacy? What you're more excited to see from Aztec in the future?
Yeah, so what I'm quite happy about is that they are quite strong on the principles in what they're building. They are going from the cryptography all the way up. So that's fascinating for me to see it all the way up, which I did see the Ethereum Foundation as well. They have a lot of smart brands doing a lot of smart things from the maths up. So that's a good thing. The fact that they, and I discovered this only when I was working here, that they said, well, from day one, the goal is to be decentralized. Ideally, you do want to do that. You don't want to have this trust assumption where everyone has to trust certain Aztec server for the layer 2 to roll up correctly. No, it should be, and it's a high bar to set. And that's what I like to hear, that they were aiming for this high bar to bring the cryptography up to a standard, bring the protocol up to a standard to say we can launch decentralized without having these more difficult trust assumptions on the way.
Yeah. So you're eliminating that single point of failure that can happen in centralized systems. We see most sequences are basically one.
Yeah, and I like looking at, I think it's L2 Beats that has that breakdown of layer 2.
Oh, I love that.
And then you just see the colors there. I would expect more green. Yeah, just to simplify it, to say, I want everything to be green on a few of those rows, but you just see these amber and red squares to say, oh no, there's no escape hatch there. Your money's locked. If that company goes down, that server goes down, your money's gone. And that doesn't sound great.
Exactly what you want.
Yeah, the ideal of saying decentralized from day one is quite fascinating.
Oh, that's amazing. I really, I'm really happy. I'm struggling to think of questions because I've been waiting for this day for let's say 2 years.
Yeah.
So
well, it's still a private sandbox at the moment.
Yeah.
Testnet will be coming soon. The engineering team will announce the date, and keep an eye out for that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. So I hope you had an amazing day.
Nice chatting. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.